Do you believe that pain and wealth can turn someone heartless? How would you react if a wealthy woman mistreated her helps because of the bitterness from her past? Here's a gripping story of a woman's hidden past and the shocking discovery that changed her life forever. Once upon a time, Victoria, a bright and ambitious high school student, saw her world crumble when she unexpectedly became pregnant. The person she trusted most not only refused to accept responsibility, but also publicly humiliated her. "That's not my baby," he shouted, accusing her of infidelity in front of both their parents, leaving her devastated and ashamed. As if the betrayal wasn't enough, Victoria soon discovered that her ex-boyfriend had moved on to her best friend. The pain of seeing them together was unbearable. Her parents, already disappointed and ashamed, felt she had disgraced the family and threw her out of the house. With nowhere to go and no one to turn to, Victoria found herself on the streets, facing cold nights and hunger, all while trying to protect her unborn child. Each day was a struggle for survival, but despite everything, she held on to the hope of a better future for her baby. Life on the streets was tough for Victoria. She had no money and no shelter. Every night, she would curl up under an old blanket, her belly growing bigger as her baby grew inside her. She would often talk to the baby, hoping it could hear her. "I will take care of you, no matter what," she whispered, holding her stomach. As days turned into weeks, she kept walking through the market, looking for small jobs to earn some money. The day came when Victoria went into labor. She was scared and alone, with no hospital to go to. She sat on the dirty ground, screaming in pain. Some passers-by helped her to a small clinic nearby. After what felt like hours of pain, her baby was born, a beautiful baby girl. Despite the exhaustion and the hardship she had faced, Victoria smiled as she held her daughter for the first time. The baby had a special mark, a large birthmark on her shoulder. Victoria kissed the birthmark, feeling an unexplainable connection to her child. She named her baby Zara. Determined to take care of her baby, Victoria found a job as a head porter, carrying heavy loads for shoppers at the market. It wasn't easy work, but it paid enough to buy food and a small room to live in. She carried baskets full of goods on her head all day, while little Zara stayed on her back, tied securely with a cloth. Victoria loved her daughter, but every day was a struggle. The sun burned her skin, her legs ached, and her hands were rough from the hard labor. But when she saw Zara's tiny smile, it made all the pain worth it. One hot afternoon, Victoria was hired by a wealthy woman at the market. The woman had bought many things, and she needed Victoria to carry them to her car. It was the biggest job Victoria had ever gotten, and she was excited about the money she would earn. The woman noticed Zara crying on Victoria's back and told her, "The sun is too harsh for your baby. Why don't you leave her with me in the car while you go get the last load? The air conditioner will keep her cool." At first, Victoria hesitated, but the woman insisted, convincing her that Zara would be safe. Reluctantly, Victoria agreed. Victoria hurried back to the market to collect the rest of the goods, but when she returned to the car, both the woman and Zara were gone. Panic gripped her chest as she ran around, searching for her baby. She asked everyone in sight, but no one had seen where the woman went. Desperation flooded her heart as she realized her daughter was missing. Tears filled her eyes, and she collapsed on the ground, screaming Zara's name. The years that followed were hard on Victoria. Losing Zara had broken her spirit, and she grew bitter with each passing day. She continued working as a head porter, but her heart was heavy with sorrow. Every time she saw a child, it reminded her of her lost daughter. The pain of losing Zara was unbearable, and Victoria no longer trusted anyone. Her bitterness grew so much that she stopped caring about others. She felt the world had been cruel to her, and so she became cruel in return. After years of pain and struggling, Victoria met a wealthy older man who took an interest in her. He was kind, and for the first time since losing Zara, Victoria felt a sense of comfort. They married, and Victoria moved into his large mansion, leaving the hardship of the streets behind. She enjoyed her new life of luxury, but the bitterness from losing Zara never left her heart. When her husband passed away, Victoria inherited all his wealth. She was now an extremely rich woman, living in a big house with everything she could ever want. But wealth did not fill the emptiness inside her. The loss of her daughter haunted her every day, and it made her colder and crueler to the people around her. Victoria's mansion was grand, and she hired many house helps to take care of it. But none of them stayed for long. Victoria had become a harsh and bitter woman, treating her staff with cruelty. She would shout at them for the smallest mistakes, force them to redo tasks over and over, and punish them without reason. The house helps feared her, and many quit after just a few weeks. The agency kept sending new workers, but none could stand Victoria's harsh treatment. She was angry at the world, and her staff became the target of her frustration. One day, the agency sent a new house help named Didi. She was young, respectful, and hardworking. From the moment she arrived, Didi did her best to please Victoria, cleaning the mansion spotless and working late into the night. But no matter how hard Didi tried, Victoria was never satisfied. She would make her wash clothes that were already clean, scrub floors that were already shining, and sometimes even starve her as punishment. Days turned into weeks, and Didi continued to endure Victoria's harsh treatment. Workers from nearby homes noticed her relentless hard work, and some pitied her. They warned her that no one ever stayed long in Victoria's household. But Didi had no other option but to stay, despite the difficult circumstances. One day, Victoria invited some wealthy guests over to her mansion for dinner. Didi worked hard to prepare the meal and served the guests with a smile. The visitors were impressed by Didi's politeness and exceptional service. The male guests, in particular, couldn't stop praising her for her warm hospitality and attentiveness. They admired how respectful and hardworking she was, making Victoria feel overlooked in her own home. As the night went on, Victoria's jealousy grew. After the guests left, Victoria's anger exploded. She accused Didi of embarrassing her in front of her visitors. "You look like a beggar in those rags you wore," she screamed. "How dare you steal attention from me?" Didi was shocked and confused. She hadn't done anything wrong, but Victoria's jealousy had blinded her. Victoria's rage boiled over as she ripped Didi's clothes off, accusing her of stinking up the place. Didi cried and begged for mercy, but Victoria didn't stop. She was too furious to listen. As Victoria ripped at Didi's clothes, something caught her eye. She stopped mid-attack, her breath catching in her throat. There, on Didi's right shoulder, was a birthmark. It was the exact same birthmark her missing daughter had, the one she thought she would never see again. Victoria's hands trembled as she stared at the mark, her mind racing. Could this really be her lost daughter? The memory of Zara flooded her mind, and she felt her legs give way as she fell into a chair, her body shaking in disbelief. Victoria couldn't believe what she was seeing. She had spent 20 long years mourning the loss of her daughter, only to discover that she had been living in her house all along. She looked at Didi, who was still crying, and slowly knelt down beside her, touching the birthmark once more to make sure it was real. Tears filled Victoria's eyes as she whispered, "Could it be you, Zara? Could you be my daughter?" Didi was confused by Victoria's sudden change in behavior. One moment, she was being attacked, and now Victoria was kneeling beside her, staring at her birthmark. "What are you talking about?" Didi asked, her voice trembling. She had never known her real mother, and she had no idea why Victoria was acting this way. Victoria's heart raced as she realized the truth. Didi wasn't just another house help. She was Zara, the daughter she had lost all those years ago. The lesson to be learned from this story is that holding on to past hurts can lead to cruelty and suffering, not just for oneself but for others as well. It reminds us that betrayal and hardship, though painful, do not justify mistreating others. Healing comes from forgiveness and love, and sometimes the people we least expect may hold the key to our redemption. Victoria let the pain from her past harden her heart, leading her to mistreat the very person she had been longing for all along. I hope you enjoyed the story. Hold up. Why are you clicking off without subscribing? Please like, share, and subscribe. And please don't forget to hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any of your favorite stories. If you enjoyed this story, be sure to watch Missing Hair. Bye.